Rockets against the light. The Russian army has been massively and systematically attacking the Ukrainian energy system for the past 2 months. Such shelling is an attempt to force Ukraine to negotiate on unfavorable terms, or in other words, to capitulate. But neither the Ukrainians nor the Ukrainian authorities intend to do this. In order to quickly restore electricity supply in homes, Ukrainian warriors of light are working non-stop. The power engineers are eliminating the consequences of Russian shelling of Ukrainian infrastructure on November the 23rd in one of the courtyards of Kyiv. Some sections of the cables have burnt out due to voltage fluctuations and need to be replaced. The first stage of work is the excavation of the trench.
They brought us a new cable, stretched it out for us and threw it into the trench. Now we are joining it with the old one, which is still intact.
Employees of the energy company noticed that after the start of massive shelling of infrastructure, the residents of the capital began to appreciate their work more. Now not a single day goes by without a word of gratitude to them.
People quite often bring us tea, coffee and even some muffins lately. When we were working here before, a man came up and said to us, "I have a cafe around the corner. Go there. Tell them that you are sent by me and they'll make you coffee for free." This is the 5th or 6th time that people have done so in the past months.
The lights are flickering in my flat. They can't shine the way they should. My fridge is constantly turning off. Although it is old, I need it in the household. Our engineers help us, and we hope that we can get proper electricity as soon as possible. They give us forecasts that they will do everything that depends on them. There are rolling and emergency blackouts due to the shortage of power in the energy system in Ukraine. It helps to reduce the load on the power grids and balance the operation of the energy system as a whole.
Due to the destruction of infrastructure, the partial destruction, we do not currently have the opportunity to meet the needs of our customers, both residents of cities and towns and industrial enterprises. Therefore, the country has developed temporary shutdown schedules that operate in each area with its own logic. In addition to rocket and drone attacks, there is constant artillery shelling, especially in areas where there are constant hostilities.
Kherson and the right bank part of the region were liberated on November the 11th. After that, the Russian army regularly shells the city from the left bank of the Dnipro. Residential areas and civilian infrastructure are targets for the Russian invaders. They are trying to de-energize the city again, but the power engineers managed to quickly eliminate the consequences of the strikes.
I've got electricity at home, everything is fine, everything is functioning. Well, sometimes there are power outages after shelling, but it's okay. Now the situation is stabilized, we already have electricity. Everything is good compared to the situation before. There was no electricity and no water supply. It is okay now, I think. Well done, guys.
Do you have any power outages?
No, thank God. There are no problems with electricity. They've restored water supply recently, and they are slowly restoring heat supply, so that life is normalizing.
Ukrainian power engineers are also trying to restore electricity supply in the territories of the Kharkiv region liberated from the Russian occupiers. Some cities and villages here have been de-energized for 9 months.
There hasn't been any electricity for as long as I can remember. Everything is destroyed, everything is torn out. There's no electricity along 30 kilometers in both ways. There is no voltage, everything needs to be restored.
Power engineers risk their lives every minute working in the front line and the occupied Ukrainian regions. After all, the ground is littered with unexploded Russian ammunition.
The guys have been just pulling out the grid and found a mine. It is known as a butterfly mine. I don't know its real name. It is lying here and waiting for someone to step on it. But we will not step on it. Let the sappers do their job.
The situation in the regional center is better. Residents of Kharkiv live in temporary power outages, like the residents of all other Ukrainian cities.
I live in the combat zone in the North Saltivka, where the first shelling was. In fact, there have been only 2 long power outages. One was 12 hours long, and the other one was 14 hours long. And now there is nothing to complain about. That is, power outages are really short.
Power plants, transformer substations, main lines, transformers in residential yards, cables, wires, and finally, consumers. The power grid is similar to a country's roadmap. There are highways, there are branches, rural roads and trails. If there are repairs on the central highways, traffic becomes more difficult on smaller roads too. Thus, a power shortage in one region can be caused by the shelling of another city. Residents of Odessa, Sumy and Lviv live in conditions of temporary power outages. Let those power outages be, because this is war. We understand it. Sometimes there are a lot of power outages, and sometimes there are not. At first, when our critical infrastructure began to suffer from Russian rocket attacks, there was a chaos. There was no electricity for 8 and 9 hours, and it was like that for almost 2 weeks in a row. I was very pleasantly surprised this week, because the schedule indeed corresponded to reality. I'm ready to be without electricity, if only it helps us win and survive in this fight. Now there are power outages according to the schedule, most often, that is for 4 hours, maximum for 5 hours. We understand everything because we know what is happening and we know that it could be much worse. Partner countries help Ukraine to prevent energy collapse. USA, Latvia, Spain, Poland, Germany, Britain, Belgium, Finland, Slovakia, Luxembourg, Sweden. And this is not a complete list of countries that already provide generators and equipment for electrical system repair or will do so in the near future. Reported by Dana Kolesnik, Valeria Nekapelova, UATV News.